Welcome back to the Marketing Factor podcast. I'm your host, Austin Dandridge, the CEO of Cobble Hill. And today I'm excited to be joined by one of our very own, our senior email strategist, Shae. Since joining the team, Shae has been instrumental in elevating our email and SMS strategies, bringing valuable expertise from previous roles at Post and Courier, ClickGiant, but I think what's most fascinating about Shae is how she draws from her diverse background. Uh, she she was she worked for Disneyland and was a Disney character. So
Calling me out.
that's right, Shae. What's up? Thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited.
Um, uh, so yesterday, it's March 21st. Yesterday, you called a company-wide meeting and you decided that you wanted everyone to talk about the holidays, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, almost 8 months in advance. Tell
No
me,
time like the present.
I love it. We always get earlier and earlier every year when we start thinking about Black Friday and Cyber Monday, especially when it comes to email. Why did you call that meeting? What kind of things were you hoping to get out of, bringing our team into a conversation this early?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, I mean, it's March. In January, I decided to do a total deep dive of our Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and what were the top performers and what were some of the lower performers. And after collecting all of that data, which I typically just look at myself, I was like, you know what? Let's get the whole team involved. Let's take a look at what is top performing and what's lower performing. I think it'll be interesting for everyone. And we were really able to take a look at what messaging stood out, what messaging didn't stand out, what call to actions, where was the similarities and what was different there. The team loved it. It was so great. And I'm sure people were a little skeptical. They're like, Shae, it's March. Why is this important at all? Why we should be talking about this in November. But realistically, I framed it as, Memorial Day sale is coming up, Mother's Day is coming up. And then we're going to have 4th of July and all of the sales, those big summer sales, is the time to really test out what's working. What can we test our limits with? What can we A/B test? How can we test our messaging? When should we send our emails? Should we send them out in the morning? Should we send them out in the afternoon? Should we double it down with SMS? That's like our area to really test it out with our clients and their audience. Then come November, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, we already have our toolkit ready to go. We know what customers like to see. We know that the clear shop now buttons are working. We know that they're opening emails more in the morning than versus the afternoon or vice versa. We know that SMS is actually crushing it versus an email. So let's just send an SMS out. So just being able to really prep the whole team right before we have these big summer sales so that we're ready for Black Friday, Cyber Monday.
They're evergreen concepts, I feel like, even though we're talking about Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Like you said, these are just concepts that we can apply to all emails throughout the year.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's a good case study because we're doing a lot of volume over a short amount of time. So we can get some really good insights in there and kind of determine, okay, this brand does, very specific types of messaging that seems to work well, while this other brand might not, but there are some similarities. What are kind of the key, what are the key takeaways that you had from last year that were different from the year before?
So a lot of our clients really put our trust in strategy, which was amazing. We recommended, and I feel like last year or the year prior, we did sales that was kind of like, here's the 1-day sale or here's the weekend sale. With our clients, we're like, let's go big. Let's do, a longer consecutive sale and see how it does, but have those like little niche messaging and really segment it. So people aren't receiving every single email every single time about the sale. Instead, maybe someone is interested in, say, for example, skorts. They've had their eyes on a skort for a really long time. Let's go ahead, make a segment and make it super niche towards that specific product and send it during this big sale. So a lot of our clients put their trust in us, in our strategy, and we had longer consecutive sales, and we started really early. And that worked well. And there's so much data behind Klaviyo saying, start early as November 9th, I think they were saying, which you would think is crazy. But yeah, it was just getting ahead of the noise. So I would say that, and offering that big discount. Don't be afraid. Now is the time. This is the noise. Get ahead of it, be that top discount, and include SMS. I feel like a lot of our clients maybe didn't have SMS before. So prior to Black Friday, Cyber Monday, we mentioned, let's go ahead, let's add SMS in here and see how it does. And it resonated super well. A lot of our clients doubled down in their marketing efforts with SMS and doubled their revenue because of it.
We have a lot of clients that come to us that you're saying that don't do SMS already. And they say, I hate getting emails from brands, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think that brands should utilize SMS?
That is a great question. So I picture it as, just from a consumer standpoint, when I'm looking at my phone, SMS is landing amongst my best friends. It's landing amongst my family. It's the most important people in my life, and that's where my attention is being drawn to. So when I see a marketing email or a marketing SMS, I'm going to open it, of course. I'm not going to leave it unread. There's so much statistics with SMS. It's actually a 98% open rate. So you're definitely getting the people there. Again, too, something interesting, and I'm kind of going off track a little bit, but with SMS, we love to A/B test. And something interesting that we saw for Black Friday, Cyber Monday was adding an image versus not. And you'd be surprised by how much statistic is behind having no image and just saying, hey, our sale is happening. Click here now. People are like, what's on sale? I want to take a look. And then you've captured them, they're in. So SMS is a huge opportunity. If you don't have it, get it. If you have it, use it more.
One thing that drives me crazy when a brand sends an SMS is if it's like this super long message, right? Because
Yeah.
to me, texting should feel, if you're I think it's a great example. Like, you're meeting people at their level. You don't want your brand to feel like your best friend, but
Yeah.
there is this aspect of just communication from a brand that should feel like how you talk to someone at a party or meet them at the level now. It's like talk to someone, your best friend, in a
Exactly.
text message. And so I think when you see a brand that sends a long-winded text message, or it has like an image of like a editorial photo or something like that, to me, I'm like, ugh, like go away.
Yeah.
But if it's something that's like quick, easy, like link is super, takes me exactly where I want to go, so I don't have to do a lot of navigating on the site. That to me feels like the best place for SMS.
Totally. Yeah. It's super personable, easy to shop. And it gets me every single time. So
Why should you think? I mean, think of it this way: like, if you're working, if you're a brand, why should you even like consider engaging an agency to do some of the stuff that Klaviyo kind of feels so like it just feels intuitive to do? What are some things that you found from brands that are managing their own Klaviyo accounts that you're picking up on that feel like, oh, wow, if they didn't have an agency actually doing this, then I don't think they would have caught that?
yeah, I would definitely. And whenever we get a Klaviyo account, maybe someone has already started with email marketing in Klaviyo. We like to do a full audit and just take a look and see how they're doing, what they're doing. Where I look first is really their deliverability score, because that's where your emails are landing. And that is a huge miss that a lot of our clients sometimes aren't taking a look at, where we are. And deliverability is the most important thing. That's where if your emails are being delivered within your inbox. Because a lot of times, if you're sending to, say, every single person, your emails are going to land in a spam folder. People aren't opening every single email. So I would definitely look at the deliverability score, and I would look at a segmentation process. So a lot of clients may think like, oh, we send I remember one of our clients was like, why wouldn't we just send every single email that we're making and we're putting all our effort into?
Mm,
Why wouldn't we send that out to every single person? And
mm.
it's a great question
Yeah.
because you would think that. But realistically, you don't want your emails to get oversaturated. You want to make sure that they're landing in your inbox. So segmentation, like having a segmentation strategy and constantly changing that is so important. That's something that we love working on at Cobble Hill.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great point. I mean, what are kind of besides deliverability, what are the like most underutilized features in Klaviyo that you feel like brands should be leveraging that maybe aren't if they don't have an expert there to guide them?
Yeah. So Klaviyo is a super smart platform. It is one of my favorites to use that I've used before. It's just so great. It can get so granular. So something that's very interesting is having like interest-based segments. What Klaviyo can do is take a look at all of your profiles' history. So their activity on site, what products they're looking at, how often they're looking at specific collections. And what you can do is segment it into its own segmentation, I guess. So from that segmentation, say, for example, someone is looking at this specific dress and it's a specific pattern and it comes in multiple different types of shapes. So it's a dress, it's a top, whatever. I would segment that into something like, okay, they're interested in this specific fabric. From there, you can have Klaviyo will be able to set up an automated flow for you that triggers based off of landing into that segment because they're interested in that specific fabric. And then you'll be able to message them with items that come in that specific fabric. So I definitely think being able to get super granular with Klaviyo and having those behavior-based triggers is super important. Also, I would say adding in dynamic products. So, for example, say you're working on your browse abandon or your cart abandonment, you're able to add in dynamic products that Klaviyo will dynamically pull from your site based off of that specific person's browsing history. So, Austin, if you were looking at, say, water filters, I know you have a cold plunge. If you were looking at filters, that specific Klaviyo will be able to pull those in as items that they recommend you purchasing, kind of like a bit of a cross sell opportunity within your browse abandonment flow.
That's a good call out because that is exactly what happened. And I messaged you and I said, hey, I have this cold plunge. We run ads for this cold plunge company, Nordic Wave. They're awesome. Check it out. Definitely the best vertical plunge on the market. But you have to change the filters. And one thing that we've built out for them is this flow and automation that triggers based on a certain time frame when we know that someone purchased their cold plunge
Mm-hmm.
and timing it based on when they purchased their last filters. And just run out of a filter, and I got literally the next day I got an email reminder to purchase my filters. And I said to Shae, hey, that was awesome, but I think it needs to come a little earlier because my filters already run out. And it's hard to say that because there isn't a specific time, but I just feel like there needs to be more. So I think that is kind of one of the most powerful things about automations and flows is you can set up these things that would be really, really difficult to do from a just purely customer experience manual setting, and you can turn them into automations. But I think where an agency or where a brand really can, even without an agency, but a brand should really think about how they personalize those messages, right? So it feels a little bit more authentic and it feels like it's coming not from a robot or just some very generic email. but something that has a little bit of taste or a little bit of thinking around, okay, it's time for a new filter. What does that mean? Should we think about the way that we talk about how, here are the things that I would consider. If I would say, how do you actually change the filter? That should probably be in the email that you get. Or what should you look for? Was this timing right? Update this next time.
Yeah. You definitely want to make sure you're meeting the potential customer or customer where they're at and thinking about the user experience. That's why it's so important. If you're working with an agency, you want to make sure you're in constant contact with that agency, asking them questions, and hopefully your agency is also asking you questions to see what is the customer journey, and even helps if you are a customer yourself.
Totally. Well, one of our, on the completely separate end of that spectrum, we have a client who sells bridesmaids dresses.
Yes.
And to me, that is like, a bridesmaid's dress is something that you probably, you might need a couple of them in your life, but you're not the one that's necessarily picking these out, right?
Exactly.
The bride is choosing what the bridesmaids are going to wear. Then you're going to their site and you're signing up. So when you think of like the flow strategy for something like that, our client Lula Kate, like what specific flows made the biggest impact there?
Yeah, that's a great point. So on the surface level, Lula Kate looks like just any typical e-commerce, business. They sell dresses, great. But really, it's not so cookie cutter. Their user experience is extremely different. Just like you said, it's not the bridesmaids shopping for their own dresses. It's really the bride that's shopping for their dresses. So how we capture that is we offer a pop-up that says, hey, we offer complimentary swatches if you're interested in taking a look at the different fabrics that we have. And we're targeting the bride specifically in that. Instead of having a typical post-purchase flow, instead now we have a swatch post-purchase flow. So as soon as they receive that complimentary swatch, they're going to get the post-purchase flow, but it's going to be around, hey, how was your swatches that we sent over to you? Did you like them? We have an in-house stylist. Do you want to talk with her? Let's set up a call over Zoom and you can talk with her, which is a great thing that Lula Kate offers. So we definitely want to make sure that we're sending that message out. After that, we send another email and it's like, are you interested in shopping more? Here, sign your bridal party up. Fill out this bridal registration form. Give us your bridesmaids' emails. Once we get the bridesmaids' emails, then the bridesmaids go into their own flow. And that's a bridesmaid flow, talking about the fit, talking about, the different styles that they have and how they can customize and whatnot. Because there's two different markets there. Your main customer is the bride, but you want to make sure that you're still appeasing the bridesmaids as well, so that you never know. Maybe now they're a bridesmaid, but maybe down the line they'll be a bride as well. So it's just definitely a big customer user experience that we chatted a lot with Lula Kate team to make sure that we really nailed it down, make sure that we're meeting the customer where they are.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, I think that we primarily work with e-commerce brands, but a lot of them have an in-store experience. They're omni-channel, which is we need to meet their customers and message to them in a variety of different ways and direct them to do a lot of different things that might not just be go to the website, go to this collection page, purchase this product.
Yeah.
Included in that, some of them are primarily service-based businesses. We have a facial studio that has some very kind of unique, I think, requirements when it comes to what the follow-up of the actual service experience looks like via email, which is different from then when you buy, let's say, some like a cold plunge. That is a much different type of customer. What do you think of when you think of like service-based businesses? What type of messaging are you trying to include there? For something that potentially has more repeat customers?
Totally. Yeah. There's so much upsell opportunity there for service based, but you have to think of it as there's all different types of clients with service based. There's your one time customer. Maybe they're just coming in because they got an offer and they like the offer. There's those people that are repeat customers, but they're only seasonal. They only like to get facials, so to speak, during winter time because their skin is feeling dry. So you could essentially have, a winter segment of people that, hey, come back. We noticed that you like to get your facial during the winter time. So we're definitely going to be targeting you during that time. We love to have those seasonal segments for Faced. There's those people that are location based. So Faced does have multiple locations. So they have events. We're constantly creating segments for people that live in that surrounding area that's closest to their studio. And then ultimately, we really want to push those memberships. So anyone that's consistently coming to Faced, booking appointments, let's see how a membership can actually benefit you even more and continue to benefit you. And we continue to send out membership perks. And if they are a member, great. These are all the things that you are getting with your membership and why it's such a value. And you should continue to be a member with us. Something very unique that we are starting this year is bridal segmentation for them. There's so many people, and it's such a great audience to be able to target people who are interested in getting their skin right, getting products before their wedding. So we offered that opportunity to, have a landing page that's specific towards brides. And ultimately, we hope to have a bridal flow. So it'll continue to message them. And if they say booked an appointment, hey, we noticed that you haven't come back for your monthly facial. Wedding is coming up. Let's get you back on track. Let's get you prepped for your wedding. So yeah, there's so much opportunity with service based that you really need to think about all the different clients that you have.
Totally. And I think too, when you think of, okay, here's the marketing funnel in general for a brand like Faced, we don't necessarily want to continue to just hammer that customer that's already been there with ads, because I think there's obviously you're not getting a facial the next week after you've gotten one the week before. So there is a little bit of a time delay, but you also don't know, you don't want to be too late for when they're thinking about it either. So I think that the strategy for a lot of brands now is let's target new customers through advertising and through at least from a meta side of things, from this top of funnel brand messaging, very specific, utilizing hooks and video content into the ads. And then from the email, let's retain that customer or retain that person who's at least signed up for email on the site. And so you're having to create a dialogue with them that kind of has to flow very specifically from user to user, customer to customer, because there's a lot of different, they may not have even purchased anything yet. They may just still be in that kind of brand awareness stage. They could be a very high value customer. And I think that's where the segmentation aspect of Klaviyo comes into play. Because if you have all of those behavioral segmentations set up, then a lot of the automation that happens can follow suit up there. So do you recommend that you spend, like, how much time do you spend in each account segmenting each month, would you say?
Oh my goodness. So much. Something that's cool that I think every client should have is a marketing calendar. And so what we do is we'll take a look at the marketing calendar a month before. And with that marketing calendar, we have our topics based off of what the client is telling us, what their new arrivals is, any sales, XYZ. We build that content calendar off of that. We add in A/B testing. And then lastly, we also have segmentation. And I'm always looking at the segmentation. I would say, hours, but we like to prep ahead and I'll fill it all out in the marketing calendar a month before. But then when I go to send it, I'm like, where else, after looking at the completed email, I'm like, where else could this hit? Okay, this is something I didn't notice before. We're talking about, potential customers. We're talking about people who have maybe are interested in, these leggings that one of our clients offers. So we'll add that into an interest-based segment, people who are looking at that product. So yeah, you just want to make sure that you're always being dynamic with your segmentation and adding it in all the time. Doesn't hurt to add more people in there.
Yeah. What about like reviews? When you think of reviews, how do a lot of our brands, that's a pretty important aspect of their website, is to showcase the fact that these are products that are real, that people have bought, and they have good quality. But you also run the risk, I think, and a lot of people think this nowadays, is they come to a site and it's just littered with 5-star reviews. So it's very hard to tell if this is real or not. How do you think about reviews, Shae? Like, where do you make the recommendations? I know it's client specific, but broadly speaking, how do you make like a judgment call on whether or not a brand should utilize reviews?
I think reviews always help. I will say if it's a big purchase, like if this is going to be something that I need to research a lot on, definitely add reviews. That just builds your credibility. If it's a product like that you're consuming, so food, beverage, add reviews. People aren't able to see, we see the packaging of a beverage, but we're not able to taste it. We don't know what that is. And you think about like Yelp or something, you're taking a look at restaurants. I'm looking at the photos, I'm looking at what people like. So it's the same thing when you think about, your business and what people want. It's a huge credibility.
I think people are getting, and brands should start getting away from the 5-star review element of it and think of it more of, hey, here's a review on actually like a critical review here.
Yes,
Like, here's the, let's think of we work with a lot of fashion brands. Here's the fit of this. This is how
exactly.
it fits. Or like you were saying, if it's, a tea company, here's the taste, here's the flavor
Mhm.
profile, and you get that more. And I think what's cool about a lot of those reviews that you can utilize, if you think of it that way, versus, hey, let's
The
get
five.
as many
Yeah.
5-star
Yeah.
reviews as we can. If you take that aspect, you can take that and repurpose that content in so many different ways, from ads to emails to your flows, to SMS.
Yeah.
I think it's like it's such a powerful thing. We love using JuneUp.
Yes.
It's such an easy way to integrate into Klaviyo and everything like that. And I think that they're a small, nimble team that just, it works with Shopify really well. And they have the same mindset that we do, that reviews are not just, it's not just this 5-star aspect.
Yeah.
It's let's get the real customer feedback here.
One hidden secret I will say, and this always does well as a subject line, is if you put a review in the top of the subject line, people will open it.
Nice. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Any other hot tips?
Add SMS, double down your marketing efforts, meet your clients where they are with automated flow, and make sure you add segmentation. It's so important.
What are like the biggest mistakes that people should try to avoid when they're, if they, let's say they're a new brand getting started migrating to Klaviyo, have a pretty small list, let's say that they're at 5 to 10,000. What are the common mistakes that you see with a list that size and a nascent brand that's growing?
Yeah, a lot of people just think like I need to send every email to every single person, and that's not the case. Make sure that you are segmenting, even if it's just based off of engagement. And what I mean by that is if someone is opening email, clicking an email, active on your site, or signed up for email marketing within the past 30 days, go ahead and send every email to them. But if it's someone that falls in that segment in the past 120 days, I'd tread very lightly with that segment. Only maybe one time a month, and those are your big messaging. So just make sure you have segmentation. I think also a huge important part is like your pop-up. Make sure that it's not annoying and automatically popping up on your website. Make sure it's got a little bit of a time delay. And then also, if you're a new brand, A/B test as much as you can. I think there's so much to learn with A/B testing. Don't be afraid of it. And A/B testing is so great with Klaviyo. They show you the experiments and what worked and what didn't work. So don't be afraid to A/B test.
Yeah, the pop-up is such a good point. Whenever we're always kind of slacking back and
Yeah.
forth, I'm like, yo, Shae, I just went on the site and this pop-up just like hit me right off the bat. It's like, I don't even know what the brand is. Like
Yeah.
you have to, I think I'm always saying to clients, I'm like, go to the site on your phone. Like clients, or business owners, they don't go to their website on their cell phone because they're potentially always in front of a computer working and dealing with
Exactly.
things like that. But that is how the majority of customers interact with your website. So that experience should not be cluttered with pop-ups. It shouldn't be cluttered with buttons in the left and right side with your chat widgets and all of that stuff and your rewards programs. It should be very clear. Your menu should be very easy to use.
Yes.
But I think that the pop-up there is really important to optimize for, because
Really.
and really that's an intuitive sense. Is this easy for me? Like there isn't no data is going to support which way or how long to truly determine what's right, but it
Yeah.
just needs to feel like it's a good experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a great point too, with that you bring up with desktop and mobile. And what's so great about Klaviyo is that you're able to see your campaigns, you're able to see your pop-ups, your automated flows, anything in desktop view and in mobile view. So make sure that you're looking at both of those and send yourself a test and test out those links. Make sure that they're all working correctly. Because if not, that's a huge missed opportunity.
Totally. You got any what do you think like the next big opportunity in email marketing is going to be?
It's ever changing. I feel like there's new updates with Klaviyo and all email platforms every single day. So continue to stay educated in the platform that you're using, ask questions, test things out, trial and error, I feel like. So just continue to evolve as the platforms evolve.
How do you use AI with email? Like where do you think like an easy way to take something like Claude or ChatGPT and apply that into email? And don't tell me it's to write copy, Shae.
No. That's not my job, nor is it ChatGPT's job. Um, I would say I have used it before just to like look through customer experience, and like really analyze data. If I'm looking at KPIs, I'm like, what exactly is this telling me? And ChatGPT is a great starting point to be able to see that information and kind of build off of it. It gives you great points of what to look at too. If I'm saying, hey, I'm having some deliverability issues, where should I look that could be hindering the performance? And it's able to give you, some great tips.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely don't recommend that's the end all be all, but definitely some great starter points.
Yeah, we don't, I don't think any brand, I think at this point, brands know better than real brands.
Yeah.
Know better than to use it to generate true content. But it's so powerful to just analyze reams of data and go through, hey, take a look at this deliverability, take a look at this segmentation. Here's a CSV of customers,
Yes.
their purchase behavior. Here's the strategy. Help
Mhm.
me give me kind of like 3 key insights from this and what I should be thinking of for the spring 2025 collection based on future performance. The more
Absolutely.
prompts you can load into that thing,
Totally.
the better the output's going to be. And like you said, it's never like a final copy, but at least gets you much close. It gives you a roadmap. I think it gives you this architectural blueprint of crafting a little more guidance around thought.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see if how much Klaviyo will integrate AI into. I mean, there's obviously, AI features that are built in right now that are pretty rudimentary and hopefully it doesn't just completely take over the whole experience where it's generate, everything, every piece of this through this kind of machine learning style. And I think that as much as you can have the flexibility of being able to do that, but truly going in and and touching this with your own hands, I think
Yeah.
is probably the best way to do it.
Absolutely. Totally agree.
Shae, awesome to chat, and appreciate you coming on and being our
Yeah.
first Cobble Hill
No, it's so exciting.
podcast.
Get some more people on.
I know. Who should we have next?
I think we should get Kendra in here.
Kendra, yeah. We'll get Kendra in here to talk some ads. I think that'll be awesome. Shae, if people want to like learn more about email or follow you on the socials, where can they find you?
You can go ahead and find me on LinkedIn. I am under Shaylin Facenda.
Nice. All right. Yeah, I just saw you're getting hot and heavy on LinkedIn. That's great. I love it.
Trying.
All right, cool. Thanks, Shae.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me.